So, since we now have an amazing base for this run with Seattle, I'm going to do what I do a lot with Subway Builder. I basically set it to run in the background because we've got another game to play tonight. Which, again, as I mentioned earlier, you've been hearing it this whole time with DEG. Alright, so we're going to let that go. Alright, OBS, work with me here. First we do... I think that's it. And we do this. Huzzah! Let's go into place some DEG. Alright, so what are we looking at here? So we're going to go with DEG. What I should say what happened last time is this is a numbers game which kind of plays somewhere between Minesweeper and Nurikabe World. But it also adds weird rules. Normally, in like the starting area, I think this is where we started. Actually, no, this is not where we started. Or it is. I think we started over here. Yes, then went up to those stairs. Normally, what each number that's showing is telling you how many black squares there are. And you have to make sure all the black squares are connected and that you don't have a 2x2 anywhere. And you just have to start sneaking your way through the map based on what you've already written. Now, as I went through, we found another area where you started getting to a lot of the same stuff, but then some places where the rules got weirder. You can see some of these numbers are colored. You can see this map with these green fences. You see this map that's all in red. It's weird, right? So, I ended up going, I think, this way. And that led us to this area, which is now an inverse area. This little 1-2 means it's... I'm not sure what the 1-2 means, but it's basically that the inverse of your previous rules. So instead of having the numbers represent the black spaces, the numbers now represent the white spaces. And you can get some crazy maps trying to figure out what the negative space is doing. And I started getting stuck in a lot of places, especially because I also couldn't figure out those weirder rule sets. What I didn't realize, though, was I had missed this set of stairs. So we are now in this area where you'll notice there are no numbers. These gray squares actually had numbers off to the side as I was solving them. So you can see up here, we've got 3 gray spaces and 3 sets of numbers that are in theory placed anywhere in those gray spaces. Now, something that has really made me excited to continue playing this game is that when I discovered that I could actually progress through this area with these kind of mystery boxes, is I'm playing in a mode right now where you do not know the rules until you progress to a certain point, and then the game tells you what those rules are. So when I was getting through this area, the first few spaces, I actually unlocked note mode. I've been working only in coloring mode the whole time, which is where you just color a cell black or you mark it white, and you can do a couple of other things. Now I have this entire other note mode where I can actually take notes on the map, which will so much help me with all the logic that I'm doing here. So I got really excited to continue working on all this, which means it's time to start. So, let's talk some of the numbers that we're seeing here. First off, this entire top row is black, which means when I start writing into this area, any of these spots can be a jumping off point. So I don't have any hints of where to start here. We've got every single one of these hints is a multi-number hint, which means there have to be gaps between the blacks to figure this out. Which, as I'm looking at it, I can already tell this 2-3 can't go into either of these spots. And the reason why that is that it's impossible to put a block of 2 with a gap and a block of 3 without doubling up something on this row. Because let's say the 2-3 was here. So somewhere around this, we'd have like a 2 and a 3, or a 2 and a 3. Or 2, 3, 2, 3. Now the problem with that, as you've noticed, or might have noticed, is that I'm always marking at least 2 consecutive of these blocks if I put 2, 3 here. And the problem is if I do that, I now have this giant square, which is not what we want. So this 2, 3 has to come over here. What were my color change things? So no colors were Q and E. Okay. So what we can say here, we know 2, 3 is over here. That is an awful 3. Hang on. I'm drawing with the mouse here. I'm sorry. So this actually makes things relatively simple otherwise. So we've got 4 numbers showing up in one of these and 3 numbers showing up in the other. This set of 4, it has to all be 1s because there's only 8 spots around any square. And if there's a gap between each of the numbers are 1, the gaps are 1. 4 times 2 times 1 is 8. So the question, all that means is it the case where we're doing this, or the case where we're doing this? Because we do have to figure out where the other thing goes. So, and actually, now that I'm looking at it, since the other one is a 1, 1, 1, 1, we're looking at this, or we're looking at this. And I can instantly tell that this is wrong, because there's no way for this black to be connected otherwise. We would have to fill in one of the gaps that we need to preserve, which means this is correct. Now we have to make sure that all of the black squares are connected, and I can instantly see we do this. And now we've got another rule that we've revealed. What does R do in this note? Clear all notes. Okay, nice enough. Don't think we're gonna have to worry about that. All right, let's see here. What do we got? Okay. Now, so this number right here, it cannot be the 1, 1, 1. Because it has 2 by it already. So it has to be at least the 2, 1, 1. And it might be a 3, it might be a 4. So let's go to note mode. We've got this as an option now. Let's pretend it is the 1, 1, 2. And then we would force this. That's not telling us much. I feel like we could find out more with some of the... So if we put a 3 or a 4 in, actually, let's start there. If we put a 3 or a 4 in, then this has to be... We put 3 or 4. It's at least this, maybe that. And that means this has to do this because we don't want a block of 2. Which means we would have to force the black... Oh, actually, this is already coming black out this way, which is fine. The black can also come out this way. Now, if that's a 1... But you know what? Hang on. I need to start with something a bit more solid here. What's going to be the hardest thing to place or not place? That's the question. So actually, hang on. Can we put the 1, 1, 1 here? No, because this would be isolated. Can we put the 1, 1, 2 here? No, we don't have enough spaces. So this has to be the 3 or 4. We know that. It has to be the 3 or the 4. It's one of those two. Which then means that square is guaranteed. That square has to be black. If it's a 3 at all, it's there. 4 obviously would give us more. That doesn't tell us much else, though. I'm going to stare at this for a moment while I have my last chain going. Because the other thing to consider is the two here that are interacting. And I'm not sure what to make of them yet. I feel like the fact that this black is right here is a hint. I wonder if we can get... I wonder if the hint here is that we get some black coming this way and some black coming this way, but they don't connect. Because that would be interesting. That would be interesting. Let's see, if we have the 3 or 4 here. Again, let's pretend we've got the 1, 1, 2 here. Forces that. So we didn't want to do a... We can't make this a 1 anymore now, actually. It would have to be this. And that. Which then forces this. And then it actually would force this and this. Because this needs to be connected somehow. And now I think I can already see something wrong. Well, no, let's see. Hang on. Oh! Oh, actually, yes, now I think I see the full answer. So here's our 3. There's our 1 and 1. There's a 4. Oh wait. So now this is a 1, 1, 1, but this is isolated. Okay, that is not the answer we needed. Because now I have to connect this here, and we are wrong. So that is not the desired answer. Right. Wait, we can still make this work. Can we? Okay, this is our 3. That's our 4. We've got 1. 1 and 1. 1, I think. 1, 1, 1. 1, 1, 2. Oh, no, because this is a 3 and a 1, which we can't have. Okay, so I think this is wrong. I think that's wrong. That we know is correct. All right, let's R all this. We know that's a 3 or a 4. And now let's say this is also 3 or 4. Which means we know this, and we know that. If we want to do anything with this, like if this is the 4, hang on. We still need to place the 1, 1, 1 and the 1, 1, 2. So this is our 4, maybe. Make that the 2, 1. Well, no, now we can't connect this. Now we can't connect that. Okay, here's my conundrum. I think we have to have something passing through here. Well, no, we don't have to. Because if we do this, we've got several 1s set up right now. So if that's a 3, that's a 4, that's a 1 and a 2. Oh, I need another 1 for this if I wanted that to work. Okay, so that doesn't work. Yeah. I think what we need to do Oh. I just eliminated something that I don't think I meant to eliminate. I needed to tab over an R. So, where are we still sitting here? I think, actually, I wonder if the 4 goes here, 3 goes here. If we do a 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. Let's see if we can make that work at all. We know that. We know that. Actually, no, this can come over, which... Actually, if that's the 3, we need this to be a 1, 1, 2. Okay, so that doesn't work. I'd like to say we can just do this or this, but we're missing a lot over here. Missing a lot. Alright. Clear that. Clear that. I feel like I'm making this a lot harder than it used to be. See, I want the 1, 1, 1 and the 1, 1, 2 to be in the combined area somehow. Which means we don't go across whatever that side is. So if we do this somehow, that's 1, 1, 1, and we need to put another 1 here. In a way that doesn't mess with... Wait. Now I've got a 4 on this one. That's not what we want. That's a 3. That's... Wait. 1, 1, 1. That's just a 1, 2. It's not a 1, 1, 2. That's the problem. I think there's some big hint here that I'm just missing. There's a big hint here that I'm just missing. Let's... So this seems to be our problem child right now. Now that I think about it, this is our problem child. Now let's see. Let's pretend we put a 1, 1, 2 here. That's got a 4. So this is a 1, 1, 1. And we're wrong. Because there's no way to hit one of these and connect this to either here or here. So, why are we having such trouble connecting this up? That is the main question. Now let's break this down. We know these 2 gaps exist for this square. If this is a 1, 1, 1, there'll be 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. Straightforward, but a lot of bisecting options. That's not the way to use that word, but I'm blanking on the proper one at the moment. This is a 1, 1, 2. We get roughly the same problem, except something gets fully fit out. If this is a 3 or a 4, then we fill this in. In which case, those also happen like this. Now our 1, 1, 2 really kind of falls apart. Or does it? Or does it? Right, so we're saying this is our 3 or a 4. This has to be the 1, 1, 2. This has to be 1, 1, 1. And the connection does something like this, but now we can't get this over. there's a 1, 1, 2. So we have all the numbers correct right now, because here's 1, 1, 1, here's 1, 1, 2, here's 3, here's 4. But this black is floating. Wait. There we go. Oh gosh. I'm struggling. Main rule. Alright, so then we have, okay. If your main rule is 1, then we knew this. The second number tells us whether the numbers correspond to white or correspond to black. We know all of these partial checks. That's fine. Did we finish this area? No, we didn't. We're going to have to go up here. Oof, okay, now we've got some interesting stuff. Alright, so let's start over here. We've already got 3 for this guy. So there's a 3, 3, a couple of 2 3s, and then there's a 3, 1, 1. So, hang on. We know there's a 3 here. Obviously, but we don't know what else. This guy up here can only have 2 numbers, and they can't be more than 2. So it's either like a 1, 1 or a 1, 2. The thing is, if there's a 1 or a 2 up here, that has to include this guy, which means we have to include that guy for it to be connected. Now this one, we know there's a spot here. So this is either a 1, 2, because it can't be a 1, 1. It can't be a 1, 1, 2. It also could, in theory, be the 3, 2. It can't be the 3... Actually, no. So 2... Yeah, okay. That still has a lot of options. Still has a lot of options. So this... Actually, we already know what this is. It's got 2 by it, and only has 2 other open spots. So this has to be our 1, 2. Like that. So now this is a 1, and it needs to have something else on it, so that instantly tells us this is a 1, 1. Which means we have to do this already. So this is a 3... This has to come out, so it's at least a 3, 2. Could be a 3, 3. We're not quite sure what yet. But it's a 3 something. It's a 3 something. Now we said this had to be like a 1, 1, 1, right? Or a 1, 1 or a 1, 2. Well, we know the other 1, 1 is now here. And so this has to be either a 1 here. Alright, let's see what happens. If we put a 1 here... Actually, no. Let's... If we pretend this... We have to do that. And we would actually have to do this as well. So this is now our 1, 1, 2 in that case. That is almost impossible to see, but which means we have to do this and do this. So what does that leave us with now? We've got these 4 blocks that all include a 3 of some sort and at least something else. At least something else. So this is either a 2, 3 or a 3, 3. Well, that tells us we do need to have this here. Interesting. For sure. Now we do need to get... Oh, actually, you know what? We can already tell. I can get rid of all of these notes if I want to. We'll come back to them. Because there's something we already know. We already know we can't get this black coming down this way, because that would suddenly give this a 4. And there's no 4 anywhere. So at least one of these is open. which means that has to be true. And now we have forced both of these to include a 3, which means we were correct earlier in thinking this was 1, 1, 2. So all that we were saying a moment ago is totally correct. So that's at least a 2, 3. It's not the 1, 1, 3. This cannot have the 1, 1, 3 either, and this already we know is not. So we know that. That has to be open, because those connect. That has to be open. 2, 3, we know that. All right, hang on. So here's a 2, 3. 1, 1, 3. This cannot be a 3, 3. We can already see that. So that's what happens. Oh, that was a lot more satisfying than the previous struggle. Clear notes of the current color. Oh, that's convenient. You can color adjust your notes. Oh, actually, that'll be a good idea. That was what, C? There we go. Now we've got a heck of a lot to worry about here. Well, there's an interesting spot that we can start. Wait a minute. This right here. We've got a gap here and then a 1 already. So we can have a 1, 1, a 2, or a 3. The only option that works for us is one of our 2s. Which means that, which means that, which means this is now completely cut off from advancing anywhere. So here's a 2, and this is a 1 something. Oops, that's not what I meant. Alright, so one of the 2s is accounted for. And it's a 1 something, which means it has to be a 1, 2, because there's nothing else we can make it. So that eliminates a good number of stuff right off the bat, which I like to see. Alright, so let's see here. We've got 3 different 1, 1, 1s that we have to place. Well, it can't be here, and it can't be any on the edges. So those 3 spots can't be a 1, 1, 1, but everything else can, which is unfortunate. An interesting thing is that for all these other doubles, actually, hang on, we can eliminate other stuff. These 2 can't be 1, 1, 1 either, because that would force the edge pieces to be 1, 1. So what does that leave us? If we try to put a 1, 1, 1 on one of these floating guys, what happens? That forces the remainder to be a 2, 2 of some sort. So any of that. Now we could also do a 1, 1, 1 here, it's fine. Or like this, which would be fine. This would succumb to the other thing that we saw a moment ago, which means we can't do it like this, because that would force that. But we can still do this. And that would actually highly suggest another something like that. If this is the case, we have to come out this way, just in order to start connecting things. So let me see. Okay, we're all still guessing here, so let me actually backtrack. Let me backtrack here. What did we do? We did this, right? Did this. We did that. Now this could be a 1, 1, 1, this could be a 2, 2, but what we're writing at the moment suggests this. I should, hang on. I'm gonna make those a different color. Something that'll stick out a bit more. So that means we've done E. We've done this. Now again, this could be a 1, 1, 1, 1. Oh, it can't be a 2, 2. So we have indeed forced this. And actually that means this. That has to come out somehow. Which means we got 1, 1, 1, 1. And actually, oh wait, that can't work, because this actually is already there. So, hang on, so we're gonna clear all those notes. Oh, those are the current color. There we go. Oh, did I just, okay, hang on. I cleared all notes, I was dumb. I wanted to keep these down here, didn't I? So that was a 2, that's a 1, 2. Black is absolutely known. Now let's stop for a moment. We have to protect that. We have to protect that. Now, that gives us some other information. No, it doesn't. I was about to say, if we have to hit something over here, then that gives us a track through. But we don't have to hit something here, because we can just put a 2 here, like a 2 here, 2 there, and leave all of that blank, which is totally possible. Now what this means is we can't put 4 1s here, because that would isolate that. We can't put 4 1s otherwise, so we're still locked out of the 1, 1, 1, 1s. Which means of all the spaces we could in theory put 1, 1, 1, 1s, it's only on these 4? No. It's on these 4 and this 1. Now because we can't pair the 1, 1, 1, 1s, I think that means one of them has to go here. And in that sense, we have to do this, have to do that. Oh no. Oh no, that doesn't work. And this can't work. Oh no. Alright. I've over-logicked myself somehow. Because we have 3 of these to place. Can't squeeze them in here. Can't put them here or here. Can't put them here or here. Which means this has to be a 1, 1, 1, 1. Wait a minute. Are we allowed? Hang on. Maybe I am. Because maybe we are allowed to do this, because the numbers don't exist there anymore. Maybe I don't have to adhere to what's on the other side, because I can't get it to work otherwise. I literally cannot get it to work otherwise. So I think we have to do this. I think that's a necessity right now. I think that's a necessity. Which then makes me think this is our lone 4, because this needs something. And we can't connect stuff over here. We can't make this the 4, 2 as well. But this needs a 4 of some sort. Because can we do a 2, 2? We can do a 2, 2. Okay. So we can just do a 4 over here. We have 4, 2. We can make this a 2, 2 and a 2. Oh, this is going to be a 4, 2 and 2, 2. Okay, so let me talk myself through that a little bit more here. So, what we just said, this could be the 4, and that would make this a 2. This could be the 2, 2, which would make this a 2. this could also be the 4-2, which would make this 2-2. It's so hard to read, you know? But that's about all I can manage at the moment. Anyway, what else do we need now? What we need is this to come through, like this, at least a little bit. And we can guarantee now 1-1s. Here's a 2-2. Here's a 1-1-1-1. We just spent a couple of those. Now we still need to do this other 1-1-1-1. And we've eliminated it from here or any of these other spots, so it has to go at one of these two. Which one? I don't know. I think these two are probably going to suffer the same thing that these two will. So that means we can't really have both, can we? So there's 2, 2, or 2-2, and this is a 4. Actually, no, we can do other stuff with this now. I mean, we can do what the other one suggested, but if we just leave this as a 2-2 right here and here, we can leave this one the same way. So this is an extra option. Now, one of these has to be a 1-1, which means we have to pair it with a 2-2. So, what does that tell us? We only have so many of these 2-2s to work with. And it's almost guaranteed that we use them in one of these two spots as well. Maybe both. We have to find somewhere to actually put, I mean, the 4 could be one of these, okay. The question becomes how we connect everything. So I'm going to run through with an idea here. I'm seeing an idea. If we do this, hang on, I'm going to use a different color. We do this, this becomes another 2-2, and we can in theory use this as the 1-1-1-1, which I think would force this. Now, if that's a 3, that means we have to do at least 4. So here's now where our 4 is. We can't use a 4 anywhere over here. It has to be 2-2. That puts those in there. So here's 1, 2, 2, and a 2. So let's see what this crosses off now. That crosses off a 2-2 and a 2. We've crossed off another 2-2 and the 1-1-1-1. Crossed off the 4. We do need to put the 4-2 somewhere. So we've got 2, 2-2, and 2-4 left to place. How do we want to do this? So we've already placed the 4. And how do we connect everyone? That's okay, that's the important thing. How do we connect everyone? Well, that means I think this. We don't want to connect here, so that means you got to do this, which, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so I'm thinking, if we use this as a connector somehow, we get stuck. So I think this is open. This comes over this way. So here's a 4, which means we have to make this the 4-2. So this. And then we're stuck because we can't connect that. Okay. So what if we don't spend the 4 right there? If we say this is the 4, 2, and this is just our regular 4, this has to come this way. Well, there's a 2. Oh, yeah, so here's the 4, here's a 2, here's a 4, 2. Does that line up with, okay. I think that lines up. Let's see if we can do this. Hey, it lit up! It lit up! Okay, so let's go and clear. We are good. Where's our clicky? Oh, that's it. Oh no. Okay, so we've now cleared that area completely. Which means, so those 2 are things we're still missing. Oh, you know what? I forgot to go and check back in on Seattle. Let's go do that, shall we?